Hey, Hollow Table Heroes. While the majority of my channel has been mostly Territory War and GAC counters, I really wanted to make a video today to give my speculation on where I think the game's going to be going in the future in terms of new characters and galactic legends. I will note, a lot of my speculation throughout this video here is going to be on Book of Boba or on future shows. So I'd strongly recommend turning this off if you're not up to date with where we are with episode 5 of or episode 6 of Book of Boba, or any of the Clone Wars shows as well. I'll jump in just slightly on those. All right, let's talk through. So if I pull up, a lot of my favorites here are some of my speculation, as well as really just where I'm gearing. These are the tunes that I'm planning to work on projects over the next couple of months here. So I'm going to start with the obvious, and that's Book of Boba Fett. If I look at our scoundrel faction, we got quite a few scoundrels, but we're currently in the midst of the show, and we haven't had any characters tied outside of maybe Dad Bod Boba. And if we look at him here, this to me is really Season 2 Mando more so than where we are with Fancy Armor Boba Fett. When we saw Season 1 of Bad Batch, so if I look at Bad Batch, we really saw 4 out of 5 of those characters, and Omega coming shortly thereafter, right during the show airing or right after. And we know from our data mining friends at the Swgoh events server that there are 3 marquees looming. Also, when we saw Mandalorian, I can't remember if it was Season 1 or Season 2, but December of 2020, we saw Grief and Mandalorian and the BAM Legendary event, all during the show. So I could see us having something coming related to Book of Boba, but how quickly that comes, I'm not sure. So, with those 3 marquees that we know are coming, my question would be, are those GL prereqs for a GL we expect in May, or are they marquee Book of Boba characters coming? I think one of those characters could at least be Black Chrysanthemum. If we had 2 others, we could easily have a Tusken. We know definitely Tuskens have some, or need some love. We only have 3. We could get a 4th that still doesn't give a full squad, but if you have an eventual other Mando or a slight rework to Book of Boba or Old Boba, then you could have some Tusken synergy there. You could also get Cobb Vamp or one of the Cyberpunk biker gang sidekicks. Maybe they do a B1 type synergy where you have all 4 or 5 attacking at the same time. So that's a potential thought. If we start getting Pike Syndicate characters, we could also see some solo movie characters like Tobias Beckett or others coming in from that one. I don't think we're going to get a different Maul, but you could get some of those coming in that are some fan favorites. So of those, I think Black Chrysanthemum is probably the most likely Boba character coming to the game soon. However, they could stall these out to really look through and wait until Mando Season 3, or at least build up of Mando Season 3. I think lots of options they'll eventually add sooner or later. The last episode of Book of Boba may really play into how quickly we get those and if they tie into some of the other shows, which we'll talk about later. With that being said, I do not think our next GL will be Mando related. If we move on to the next set of what I expect, and it really ties back to the infamous beta tester leak on Ravager. So Nihilus' ship will come eventually and give us yet another dark side capital ship to really, if we go through and we look at dark side, quite a few capital ships, but not a lot of ships to really work with them. We know Tire Interceptors, coming from Conquest. Tarkin may never be used again. But getting back to the Ravager, I think, that ship will be released at some point this year with some strong Sith synergy. If we look here, we get, more Sith ships than we do First Order or Resistance. So we could see Ravager working with them. The other thing that we could see is Old Republic. similar to how Executor had the Bounty Hunter tag, we get a Ravager ship with Old Republic and having some ties in there, forcing folks to gear up Karth and other Old Republic tunes. But I also don't see Ravager being something that they look at like an Executor type event. I do think it would make money, but I don't see it being a big one. But if they did, it would lead me into where I think they could be going either way, whether they go with an Executor type event or they just decide it's time to go revisit this, and that's Old Republic. So if Ravager hits the tables, we could be taking a dive back to the beloved KOTOR franchise, and I'm not sure if this hits the horizon for 2022. However, we know KOTOR tunes make money for CG. I know when JKR and DR hit the holo tables, that was the first time I'd ever spent money on the game. I'm not a huge spender, maybe 50 to 100, $200 a month, depending on how everything's looking and what's getting released, but I am a huge KOTOR fanboy, so this would make me very happy to explore some of the characters like Mitra Sirik, Satil Shan, Lord Vitiate, Lord Scourge, and many others. You could even dive into the Old Republic game or some of those others and work towards that. So having some of those synergies with other eventual Old Republic ships, you could dive in and have some better Sith or Old Republic ships, maybe an Executor counter down the road. Last bit of speculation I will touch on today is highly dependent on where our upcoming Kenobi, Ahsoka, and Cassian shows go. So we'll start with Kenobi and Ahsoka, kind of combined there. We have 3 Kenobi variants and 3 Ahsoka variants. However, we know CG really doesn't care about the number. We have 5 Hans, so if their shows go well, I could see another variant being released and tied to the show. I don't know how much CG dictates their character selection and import into the game based off of how much money they think. I don't know how much money a new Kenobi would make for them. Honestly, I think there's, at least in my opinion, we could see more hype around Ahsoka and the buildup of Thrawn and Ezra and some of those others, which we'll talk about. But for Kenobi, I could see us getting a new set of characters. Maybe we'll get, finally get a Hondo in the game. That would be amazing, and I think that would make money. We know Cad Bane and Kenobi have had their run-ins, so maybe we could see more Cad Bane there, as we saw in the last episode there. I'm not sure if Cad warrants another character or not. Maybe he gets a rework. Moving to the Ahsoka show, this is really where my speculation comes into play. And really it's around Phoenix. We've talked about, or we know at the end of Mando Season 2, Ahsoka's going off to find Thrawn eventually, and it's been rumored that Ezra and Thrawn have already been cast for the Ahsoka show, and to me that gives a wide range of possibilities to explore in the future. R.I.P. Kanan, but the rest of the Phoenix could play a factor in, or maybe flashbacks for Kanan. I don't know. But the rest of them could play a factor in the Ahsoka show. You see, I've started gearing up Sabine, and I've got the others on my favorites list there, or at least 3 out of 5, or 3 out of the 5 remaining on my favorites list. And that, again, I just geared up Sabine really for my Maul Mandos to give more flexibility, plug-and-play viability with Armor, Jango, and Bam, depending on my opponent and what they normally use. But we'll see. I think Phoenix could be something, probably not this year, but I could see us leading to a 2023 Darkside GL of Thrawn and either Ahsoka or Ezra being a light side GL. This would likely require a high relic. Nobody wants an R9 Phoenix squad, but you never know. We might have to get that. So if we look at the next one, and that's really the speculation on Andor, and I'll be the first to admit Rogue One wasn't one of my favorite movies, so hype for Cassian Andor isn't through the roof like some of the other shows, at least for me. However, it has a lot of potential for adding other characters. If we look, my Rogue One characters definitely need some love here. Cassian and Biston, K2, and SRP are all on my list since they're pilots, and my Rebel fleet just is absolutely terrible. So I definitely have them in the works. You could have CG pushing for reworks, or some character tied to the show coming and requiring some of these being geared up as well, as they are older, less likely to be geared tunes for most mid-game players throughout. With that, I think the one character we know will likely come to the game is Saw Gerrera. Forrest Whitaker confirmed he's reprising the role of Saw Gerrera in the new Andor show, and I would almost guarantee we finally see this character. I think a lot of people have asked for him over the years. You bring Saw in, that also leads us down the road. He was, you had some Rogue One tie-in with Cal Kestis in Jedi Fallen Order. So there's possibility you could get a Cal Kestis or something else down the road too. We know they're going to include games now, so I would love Cal Kestis. That was a great one. So that ends all my speculation for where I think we're going to be going with character reworks in 2022. Other than that, I could also see us getting a new dark side territory battle to drive up guild engagement outside of territory wars. So if we look, I think we could get a new get currency if we got a new territory war map or territory battle map. I think that's something that I would be happy about, just because I know I've had to dip into my get currency quite a bit for the last set of GLs, Executor, and Starkiller, and hopefully I'll unlock Starkiller in the next couple of days. But maybe with a new get currency, CG would basically be giving players freedom to use Get 1 and Get 2 for just their gear purchases. One can only hope, but time will tell as we eagerly anticipate the next State of Galaxy, which may confirm some of this. Hopefully we don't get 7-dot mods. I think there was some speculation we could get a new territory battle map with 7-dot mod currency or 7-dot mod drops. I think 7-dot mods would be terrible to come to the game right now. But again, that really ends all my speculation that I have for you today. What do you think about my fortune telling? Do you agree? Did I miss something obvious? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more future videos.